Hey, it's Alt from Alta Gear, and today we're going to be looking at the SEIKO SARB033, a technically discontinued watch that continues to have a lot of enthusiasm and demand on the internet. You can still find them on eBay and places like Amazon. Fantastic watch. Let's take a look. Yeah. What do you think of SEIKO?
That's a really sexy watch, man.
So what you're looking at in the background is video of Family Day, and I wanted to actually do a review of the SEIKO SARB033 when I was out sledding with the wife and kids, but it was just too damn cold and I couldn't really take any wrist shots. So this is the SEIKO SARB033 as I play out in the mountains. Onto the basics. It is an automatic Japanese domestic market watch, meaning it was never intended for the United States. It was intended for the Japanese market only, but due to sheer popularity and demand, it did leak into the Western markets. And I have to say, it is a real stunner. Even to this day, it continues to be a modern day classic by SEIKO. So originally, this watch was around $300. Now it's closer to $400 or $500, depending on where you choose to buy it from. It is an automatic featuring SEIKO's very well-established 6R15 caliber movement, which is self-winding, hand winding, and it hacks as well. The case is a stepped design, so it's brushed and polished on the flanks. 38 millimeter diameter with an 11.2 millimeter thickness, so it does fall into the category of dress watch, but leaning to some extent towards sport watches as well due to that thickness. But overall, I didn't find the watch to be too thick at all. It wears absolutely great.
Okay.
On the front, you do have a sapphire non-coated crystal, so it does pick up a lot of reflection. And on the rear, you have an exhibition case back, and it is not a sapphire case back, but it is just plain glass. But it works really well. It shows off that movement. You look like what?
I look like Alpha.
Alpha's not an alien.
Okay, I look weird. I look like an Alpha, like with a ball.
It's worth noting the SARB033 originally came on a bracelet, but I've switched it out to the SEIKO SARB017 leather strap, which I think complements the watch really well. It dresses it up, gives it a more formal quality. And we're home. Family Day was amazing, and now we have a chance to talk about the SEIKO SARB033 in more intricate detail without my hands freezing. But first up, let's do a glint on the wrist check. I have the cousin to this watch, the SEIKO Alpinist, another discontinued classic that was recently reintroduced under a new SKU with some slight modifications, allegedly improvements. But me, I prefer the classic. I do love this watch. It has a permanent place in my collection. Here I've added the strap code oyster style bracelet to the watch. I did do a review on this bracelet and a mild impression of the Alpinist a couple of videos back. If you haven't had a moment, please take a look at it. I think it'll help sell you on this bracelet if you're on the fence, because it really is phenomenal. Now back to the SEIKO SARB033. So what you're looking at here actually represents my very first watch when I got into watch collecting. Now, I purchased this watch based largely upon the feedback of other YouTube watch gurus who said this was pound for pound the best watch you could buy under $500. And I'm going to concur. This watch, despite being discontinued, does represent a watch that punches way above its weight in terms of overall aesthetic, finishing, size, features. You've got that fantastic SEIKO 6R15 movement with Diashock and 100 meters of water resistance, signed crowned, 20 millimeter lug spacing for straps and bracelets. And in this case, I've actually replaced the factory bracelet that came with this watch with the Alpinist leather strap. It was actually collecting dust in my safe and I wanted to find a use for it. So I figured may as well put it on my Sarbo 33 and use it as more of a dress watch when I don't want to wear something expensive like a Tudor or whatever I have in the safe at the time. And I have to say, I really love this watch. It's had a great place in the collection. It's given me many years of service without any issue whatsoever. And it continues to be a watch that attracts attention when I'm around other watch collectors. more than once someone has approached me and said, "Is that a SARB033?" And I got to say, yeah, it's a fantastic watch, and leads to conversations about what my opinions on it are and do I think it's still worth buying today despite it being discontinued. And I'm going to say absolutely yes, this is a watch I still think is worthy of your dollars if you are getting into watch collecting and you don't want to spend a great deal of money, but you want all the core things that I think a watch should have, like an in-house automatic movement, or, ETA movements are fine, but there's something to be said about a company that invests the technology and R&D in making its own movements and then designing a watch around that movement that's a real crowd pleaser. 38 millimeters in diameter, little over 44 millimeters lug to lug, and for some context on size, here's how it compares with my 36 millimeter Tudor, in addition to how it compares with my SEIKO SARB033 Alpinist. Now you can see, if I can just get them both in the hand here, they compare favorably well in size. These are wonderfully proportioned watches. In the more vintage style, meaning they're 38, and technically the Alpinist covers closer to 39 millimeter, but that vintage fit, that non-gaudy, non-oversized style of watch that many of us grew up with in the 80s, 70s, and prior, this watch really falls in line with those watches, especially here on this leather strap. It just looks like something a grandpa would have worn, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible, because I think those watches definitely had a little bit more style than the 44 millimeter and up watches made today. So the glass here, it does pick up quite a bit of smudges, as you can see from my fingerprints. Kind of gross, but I don't have any jeweler's gloves. But it does not have any anti-glare protection on the glass. Now, the benefit of that is the glass doesn't pick up scratches in the anti-glare coating, and there's a certain level of irony there, where if you coat the glass on the outside, it's more prone to scratching on that glare coating, even though the sapphire crystal itself is perfectly intact. That means this watch can take a bit of a beating, and I think you can see here, this particular one has taken quite a bit of bumps and bruises, and when you pull back a little bit, despite the fact that it is marred all over the place, it still looks fantastic. So for those of you who want to get into watch collecting and want something that has that hobbyist collector appeal, but has a style and an identity all on its own, the SEIKO SARB033 is a worthy contender. I really can't say enough positive things about it, despite the fact that I've moved on in my collecting to the likes of Omega and Rolex and Tudor. I still very much love this watch and keep it in the collection, and I continue to recommend it as a watch for fledgling watch buyers who want to get into this hobby but don't want to spend a lot of money. And just as a moment to rant and rave here, I really don't like so-called watch experts who insist that SEIKO doesn't make good watches. SEIKO makes fantastic watches. They certainly have a horological history that transcends many of the newer brands out today and goes back, almost 100 years at this point now. So the SEIKO SARB033 is a great watch. I recommend it. Please pick it up. I think you'll love it.
Well, that's the end of family day. We're heading back to the car. Hope you enjoyed this video of the SEIKO SARB0. Can you not photobomb? Hey, the SEIKO SARB033.
Me too!
Thanks for watching. This is Alta Gear.